Lucy was born in Sri Lanka.
She was captured in 1975.
She was sold to the Edmonton Valley Zoo and has lived alone almost exclusively for the whole time.
Lucy, the stolen lives of elephants, dives into the plight of elephants in captivity. Director and activist Fern Levitt joins us with more ahead of its screening at the Westdale Theatre this Wednesday. Thanks for being here, Fern.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about the movie.
Well, it's the first documentary that exposes the cruelty of keeping elephants in zoos. And certainly there's been other documentaries that show elephants in circuses or being hunted for their tusks, but this is the very first one that shows the cruelty of keeping elephants in zoos. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned, I knew that keeping elephants in zoos were wrong, but I had no idea the extent of cruelty that we put on these animals by keeping them in confined spaces. Elephants in the wild roam for thousands of miles a year. And as they're doing that, they're looking for food, and they're taking care of their young, and they're looking for mates. These are highly intelligent animals, and they roam miles through a diverse environment. And as they're doing that, they're eating all kinds of vegetation, and it goes to their body, and they come out as fertilized seeds for more vegetation. So elephants serve a critical role in our ecosystems, and when we take them out of where they belong, not only is it dire for them, it's dire for our planet, and it's dire, therefore, for us.
And a lot of them are following ancestral roots of elephants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What inspired you to make this documentary?
Well, I did a documentary called Sled Dogs where I exposed the cruelty of the sled dog industry. And after that, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing another animal film. It breaks my heart. And then someone sent me a picture of Lucy, this lone elephant. She was taken from She was taken from the wild when she was only 2 years old and put into the Edmonton Valley Zoo. And she's been alone now mostly alone for almost 50 years. And I took a look at her where she's in this concrete, barrier with these painted trees. And I looked at her and I said, I have to help her. And I'm so lucky that as a filmmaker, I have a platform. And also very lucky the documentary channel said yes. So she was my inspiration for making this film.
We're seeing some of the footage here. What was the filming process like for this? There's some behind the scenes, there's some acquired video, but this seems like very thorough. But what was that process like? Well,
we emailed or called every zoo that has elephants and asked them and said, we're making this film and we want to know your perspective on this. And every single zoo that had elephants, both in Canada and the United States, said no, except for the Miami Zoo, only one. So we had to film undercover. We have a responsibility as filmmakers, as journalists, to expose truth kept hidden. So we did film undercover, and I was lucky enough to find people who had worked with elephants, worked in the elephant at the African Lion Safari and other places, who told the truth of what goes on there to train these elephants in order to, for the public.
Why is it important that this film be shared, not just, see it once, but get your friends to watch it and all that? What's the importance of sharing this?
Because people need to learn the truth. If they care about animals, then keep them where they belong, which is in the wild. And zoos have this false narrative that they're about conservation and education. Kids don't learn anything when they go to zoos. They learn that it normalizes keeping these animals in elaborate prisons, which is what they are. And they have as much right to be on this planet as we do. And so they need to be kept where they belong for their sake, as I said, and for the sake of our planet.
It's going to be on the documentary channel April 8th, CBC Gem April 11th, but you got a big showing at Westdale. When's that happening?
That's this Wednesday. Please come. It's such an important film. This Wednesday, Westdale Theatre at 7 o'clock. And there's going to be a Q&A afterwards as well, so where people will be able to ask questions.
And there is some things that are working through the system right now. The Jane Goodall Act, that's part of it, right?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, that's Bill S-15, the Jane Goodall Act. And if that passes, and hopefully it will, if the Liberals get in, because they're the ones that brought this bill forward, Canada will be the first country in the world to end elephant and great ape captivity. And the reason that that bill was brought forward and passed through the Senate is because science has confirmed, again, that keeping these animals in captivity is cruel and inhumane.
Fern, a very important story. Thank you for telling it, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
All right.